Hi there. This is my third time trying to record this. I'm having all kinds of technical difficulties. So we are on chapter 13 of it's a very suspenseful chapter. Even though this is my third time reading it, it still seems suspenseful. So chapter 13 is called Run as Fast as You Can. Remember that Anne Marie had found her mom right near the foot of the stairs of the house, sort of in a pile on the ground. Still moving quietly so as to not wake her sister, Anne Marie sped down the stairs and through the kitchen door. Her foot caught the loose step and she faltered for a moment, righting herself, and then dashed across the ground to the place where her mother lay. "Mama," she called desperately. "Mama." "Shh," Mama said, raising her head. "I'm all right." "But Mama," Anne Marie asked, kneeling beside her, "what's wrong? What happened?" Her mother pulled herself to a sitting position. She winced in pain. "I'm all right, really. Don't worry. And the Rosens are with Henrik. That's the important thing." She smiled a little, though her face was drawn with pain, and she bit her lip, the smile fading. "We got there quite quickly, even though it was still so dark and it was difficult for the Rosens, not knowing the path. Henrik was there waiting on the boat, and he took them aboard and down below so quickly to the cabin that they were invisible in an instant. He said the others were already there. Peter got them there safely, too. So I turned and hurried home. I was so anxious to get back to you girls. I should have been more careful." Talking softly, she brushed some grass and dirt from her hands. "Can you believe it? I was very nearly there, well, maybe just halfway, when I tripped over a root and went sprawling." Mama sighed. "So clumsy," she said, as if she were scolding herself. "I'm afraid my ankle is broken, Anne Marie. Thank goodness it is nothing worse. An ankle mends, and I am home, and the Rosens are with Henrik." "You should have seen me, Anne Marie," she said, shaking her head with a wry look. "Your proper mamma, crawling inch by inch. I probably looked like a drunkard." She reached for Anne Marie's arm. "Here, let me lean on you. I think if you support me on this side, I can make my way up to the house. Goodness, what a clumsy fool I am. Here, let me put my arm over your shoulders. You're such a good, strong, brave girl. Now, very slowly. There." Mamma's face was white with pain. Anne Marie could see it even through the faint light of the approaching dawn. She hobbled, leaning heavily on her daughter, pausing again and again toward the house. "When we get inside, I'll have a cup of tea, and then we'll call the doctor. I'll tell him that I fell on the stairs. You'll have to help me wash away the grass and twigs. Here, Anne Marie, let me rest for a minute." They had reached the house, and Mamma sank down to the steps and sat. She took several deep breaths. Anne Marie sat beside her and held her hand. "Mamma, I was so worried when you didn't come back." Mamma nodded. "I knew you would be. I thought of you worrying as I dragged myself along. But here I am safe with you now. Everything is fine. What time is it?" "It must be 4:30 or close to it." "They will sail soon." Mamma turned her head and gazed across the meadow to the sea and the vast sky above it. There were no stars now, only the gray pale sky with pinkness at its border. "Soon they will be safe." Anne Marie relaxed. She stroked her mother's hand and looked down at the discolored, swollen ankle. "Mamma, what is this?" she asked suddenly, reaching into the grass at the foot of the steps. Mamma looked. She gasped. "Oh, my God," she said. Anne Marie picked it up. She recognized it now, knew what it was. It was the packet that Peter had given to Mr. Rosen. "Mr. Rosen tripped on the step, remember? It must have fallen from his pocket. We'll have to save it and give it back to Peter." Anne Marie handed it to her mother. "Do you know what it is?" Her mother didn't answer. Her face was stricken. She looked at the path and down at her ankle. "It's important, isn't it, Mamma? It was for Uncle Henrik. I remember Peter said it was very important. I heard him tell Mr. Rosen." Her mother tried to stand but fell back against the steps with a groan. "My God," she murmured again, "it may all have been for nothing." Anne Marie took the packet from her mother's hand and stood. "I will take it," she said. "I know the way, and it's almost light now. I can run like the wind." Mamma spoke quickly, her voice tense. "Anne Marie, go into the house and get the small basket on the table. Quickly, quickly. Put an apple into it and some cheese. Put this packet underneath. Do you understand? Hurry." Anne Marie did instantly as she was told. The basket, the packet at the bottom, she covered it with a napkin, then some wrapped cheese, an apple. She glanced around the kitchen, saw some bread, and added that. The little basket was full. She took it to where her mother was. You must run to the boat if anyone should stop you. Who would stop me? Anne Marie, you understand how dangerous this is. If any soldiers see you, if they stop you, you must pretend to be nothing more than a little girl, a silly, empty-headed little girl, taking lunch to a fisherman, a foolish uncle who forgot his bread and cheese. Mamma, what is in the bottom? But her mother still didn't answer the question. Go, she said firmly. Go right now and run as fast as you can. Anne Marie kissed her mother quickly, grabbed the basket from her mother's lap, turned and ran toward the path. Do you think that someone's going to stop her? I think someone will. When the Germans finally figured out that Danish people were smuggling Jews out of Denmark, they started using German shepherds, which were like sniffer dogs that would search out, sniff out people that were in hiding. And sometimes the Danish people that worked in the underground, the couriers that were smuggling people, would use their handkerchiefs and they would put perfume on them, or sometimes they would sprinkle them with cocaine. And then when the sniffer dogs they would kind of put the handkerchief down near the sniffer dog's nose kind of casually, and it would kind of mess up the dog's smelling, so it would have a harder time smelling hidden people. I read a book a long time ago about the Danish underground, and it was pretty interesting. And that's one of the things that I remember from the book. So I have a very strong feeling that Miss Anne Marie is going to get stopped on her way to the fishing boat with the papers. And maybe the dog will smell the apple and the cheese in the basket and won't smell the papers. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see what happens. It's very dramatic. And have a good night's sleep while you're worrying about Anne Marie and her mom and the Rosens. Anyway, I will talk to you later. Good night.